to talk to you about what I think is a great chainsaw. Now we just kind of get right to it. It's about to get dark on me, but this is a Stihl MS250, and I just bought this saw. We've got a couple others. This MS250 goes back a ways. It used to be the 025, and I think that this is a really good chainsaw, you know, for the homeowner, the part-time, you know, wood cutter, even for the farmer, you know, for a small farm like us, because they're affordable. They're not a lightweight saw like maybe some of the lighter box store saws. They're not as big and heavy as you know, some of the more pro saws, but they're a really good saw. And you know, the older I get, the more I think just because it's new doesn't make it better. And Stihl, I believe, has been trying to kill this saw off for years. I know the last one I bought was several years ago, probably more than that, and it was on closeout. They were actually that was gonna be it, and I thought, man, I need to buy one, and I did, and we've been using it. And you know, in the past we've heated our house with wood, and it was not unusual for us to cut 7 cords of wood a year, so we put a fair amount of mileage on a chainsaw. And Stihl is our go-to chainsaw. We've got some other brands. You know, it's my hobby, small equipment and things like that, so I enjoy tinkering with some of this stuff. So, you know, what I like about the 250 is I don't think that it burns as lean as some of the newer Stihl saws. The MS251 is supposed to be the replacement for this. I'm sure it's a fine saw, but this one is just a little more old school. And so, you know, one of the things I like, really one of the key features I like about it, besides being just a nice light to mid-size saw, is this saw still has 2 lug nuts, bar nuts on the, you know, to hold the bar in place. And a lot of saws are moving to just 1. And they call me old-fashioned, but I still think 2 bar lugs, you know, hold a saw better than just 1. I'm sure there's provisions, but I feel better about this arrangement. This saw comes with, if I can get it off, this saw comes with an 18-inch bar, and of course it's got the safety chain, which is fine. Typically, when we buy one of these saws, we'll have them swap the bar out for a 16-inch. I just like a 16-inch bar. It delivers the mail for us on this farm, and you know, just cutting wood for our home. And but this was the last MS250 that the dealer had, and he had them on sale. This was the last one he had, and he had I don't have any reason not to believe the guy, but he was telling me that, you know, he bought a bunch of these things around Christmas, and he ran them on sale, and he had, I don't know, 3 or 4 left over. And so the new pricing came out for the 250. I mean, they're still going to make them, but he said that his dealer pricing was higher than his sale price on this saw with a 10% discount. And so he was clearing these out, and presumably he was going to put new MS250s out with a much higher price tag. And if you know anything about what's going on in the economy right now, you know, gas prices are going up. I mean, around here they've probably gone up close to $1. Gas and diesel, fertilizer's gone up. I think we're in for a period of inflation, even if it doesn't show up in the numbers. You know, for the goods and services like we buy, gas, diesel, tools, things like that, I believe those prices are going to jump fairly substantially here in the coming months and year, and probably the next few years. We're probably due for a little bout of inflation, and it comes in cycles. So the 250 Stihl, there is one thing I don't care about it, and that's these flippy caps. And I've just never been a fan of the Stihl flippy caps. I think the newer ones are much improved, but I still like the caps that you just screw on. I'm not sure who came up with this arrangement or why, but I don't care for them. Back to the bar. I asked the dealer to swap a 16-inch bar on here, and he didn't care to do so for the price point that I got the saw. And he didn't want to get stuck with an 18-inch bar that that wasn't in a package either, which I can understand. And we've got I actually got another chain about a year ago, and I bought the wrong chain. I bought it too long. It's a chain that'll work on this chainsaw, so I have a new chain to go with this. And of course we'll file our chains and sharpen them too. So you think of this saw as not being so big or powerful, but when you couple the horsepower that it's got with a narrow kerf chain, they'll really go through the wood, and you can kind of mash down on them a little bit. This saw has these saw dogs standard, and you can bear down on it some. It's got power for that. You're not going to do it like an old Stihl 041 or 038 Farm Boss, but within reason, these are effective, and this saw has the power to muscle through it. Typically what I like to do, and the reason a 16-inch bar works for us, is I like to cut firewood that's 6, 8, 10, 12, maybe 15 inches in diameter, and just a little easier to get along with and split, and a lot of it you don't have to split. And we have so much wood that falls around on this farm, even though we'll take on a big trunk tree that's over 30 inches in diameter. I prefer to just cut smaller wood and spend my time doing something else instead of splitting all that stuff up like crazy. This chainsaw, its predecessor, as I mentioned, was an 025 Stihl, and those saws put out more oil to the bar than this saw does. But if you're not satisfied with the oil that's coming to the bar, you can buy, I think it's a worm gear that you replace on the pump, but actually it's like a gear pump, and you can replace that with one from an 025. To understand, it's an exact fit, and then you'll get more oil to the bar. And then of course with Stihl, you're going to have dealer support. You're going to have parts. It might be a little pricey, but if you really needed something, you can carry this in to the dealer, and with reasonable expectations, that they can fix it. And you get a saw from some of the box stores and places like that. Good luck with that. So dealer support is important to us. Although I can't think of a time that we ever really needed to use it, except for replacement bar and chains and filters and things like that. But it's just nice. It's almost like we live in a world where you buy something and you're on your own, and it's just nice to have a dealer network to stand behind their saw. So I got a fresh mix of gas, and if you buy their ultra synthetic oil, a 6-pack of it, and run that through the saw first, you'll extend your warranty from 1 year to 2 years. So I have mixed this oil in with fresh gas here, and then we got some bar and chain oil. So what we're going to do is take these flippy caps loose, And sometimes, if I can get the thing loose, there we go. Sometimes I'll actually cut that cord, so when I take these things loose, if the saw's really dirty around here, I can set these things out of the way without getting, dirt all over everything. But let me top off the fuel on this and the oil on this side, and then I'm going to cut. There's an ash tree here that's dead, and it's dropping limbs all over the yard and then a little bit of my hayfield. The ash borer has been devastating to these trees, and so I'm going to cut this thing down. I'm going to get it gassed up, and I'm going to cut this thing down. I'm actually going to cut it right about here, and the reason I'm doing that is because I've got the Massey 1105 out, and I want to leave myself a little bit of a lever, and I'm going to try to pull this stump out of the ground. I'm not sure that's going to work. It looks pretty rotten at the bottom, but if by somehow, some way, I can get this thing flipped out of the ground, we can kind of dress that up and just run our lawnmowers over it instead of having a stump to deal with. So let me get this thing gassed up, and we'll see about giving it a try out on this tree. I'm going to put this camera in my shirt pocket. I don't have a head mount for this camera, and if I do, I have no idea where it's at. So don't critique me on cutting down a tree. Let's see what happens. I got a little notch cut in there, and now we're going to fall this big, humongous tree. Again, I don't like to cut them high like that so they can jump out, but I'll be on the lookout. There it goes. Actually fairly solid inside. Got limbs all over the place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set this camera up, and I'll limb up some of this tree. All right, so there it is, the Stihl 250, and you know, we made short order of this little tree. The idle's a little bit fast. I'll have to work on that a little bit, but I'll kind of let it run and break in before I, you know, really start tinkering with the carb. And but you know, this is some ideal firewood right here. Minimal splitting. I think they're a great value for the money. And you know, again, its history is the 025. You know, it's got 2 bar nuts. It's got some saw dogs, which, you know, I was using digging into this thing. This one has a 18-inch bar. As I mentioned earlier, I prefer a 16-inch bar. Cuts great. Starts, of course, it's brand new, of course. So that's kind of the video on the Stihl MS250. And I don't know if they're going to keep making them, or, you know, what the skinny is. I was kind of glad to get my hands on another one. So, appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you later.